Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we are kind of inspired by Junk Journal July. So this was actually, it came about by something my brother asked me for, which we'll get into, but we will do a little bit of painting at the end of the video, inspired by a new Tinne+Mia kind of a notebook as well, which we will look at the end. So the first thing that we're going to kind of look at and go through is this little journal. My brother asked me to make one for one of his mates in Australia for his wife. So yeah, he was sending off a package and then he asked if I could include a journal for him. So I had kind of a few things half prepped from, you know, previous journals that I'd made. And if you want to see more of my journals, you can go over onto Heirloom Luxe, and there are a whole bunch of tutorials and all that kind of stuff. There's printables in my shop as well that I have used in this. But yeah, we'll just do a little bit of a flip through first, and then we will go into some of my favorite kind of things that I like to put into journals and how I do them. So you can see this is like the front cover, the inside of the front cover, and I've added this little bit of lace. I have just hand stitched that in and made a pocket out of that, and then again I've hand stitched this piece of acetate in. That was just from Michael's, and then these are printables from my shop. I've just stapled in a little bit of like silk charmeuse, the really beautiful, it's like a thick kind of silk, it's really lovely fabric. Made a little pocket there with a tag from the printables, and then added in some other like really pretty papers. I can't remember, it's like a really soft fine paper, and just the edges roll up and give like a really beautiful texture. Again, like some printables, and then I've I've layered this a couple of times, this paper, to create a couple of little hidden kind of pockets in there. And then also some beautiful velvet ruffles. So we will go into how I make the ruffles in this video. And then this is a piece of eco printing paper, which I think I do have a video for, and this pink one is also how to age papers with watercolor, which I also have a video for. If I remember, I'll try and link them below, but time wise at the minute I'm just running out of time all the time. So yeah, there's pearlescent papers, and again printables, and another one of these aged ledger papers. So that's one of my favorite things. I really love making those, and this is the kind of ruffle that we're going to make today. Yes, so these are one of my favorite things to make and to use. I really love just these kind of journals that are already so full of texture and movement, and these would be really lovely to use for an art journal or a junk journal, you know. So I think if I wasn't doing watercolors, you know, I used to do a lot more of this kind of thing, and then I have been kind of doing watercolors a lot more in the last few years. But if I wasn't doing watercolor as much, and like the videos didn't take as much time to edit and things, this is something that I really love doing, and hopefully maybe towards the end of the year we will do a little bit more work in these. There are a few videos on this channel. What I did do this week was go through and put all of the videos into playlists. So like I get questions on, you know, particular topics like pencils or pastels, or you know, how to mix colors, palette swatches. So I've put all of those into their own playlist, so you can click there and just find you know, all the different things related to that topic, the different videos. So hopefully that is a bit helpful. But you can see here, this is just a one signature journal, which means that it's just the one pile of papers folded in half, and I've kind of propped it up there so you can kind of see that better. So here is like the pile of papers, and you can see that I have layered them. So I've just started with this heart paper that is from Michaels, and I layered it so that, especially here at the front, every page is a different height, which just creates a really beautiful kind of visual effect when you are looking at the closed journal. So I made the smaller one, you know, the first one the smallest, and then kind of got bigger from there. And then I've just held them together, and all my bookbinding stuff, I can't find it. It's still packed away, I think. So I just used this compass, and I've just punched the 2 holes there. So normally I do a little bit more in the binding, but this is such a simple binding. He needed the journal pretty quickly. He wanted to send it off, so I've just done the 2 holes there, and then threaded a ribbon, a silk ribbon through there. So I also wanted to make it easy for you to make one of these if you've never made anything before. So then here is like one of these hinges, like we call them page hinges. There's some in the journal printables, and it's just basically 2 little tabs that you can put together, and you can see where I just put the glue on around the outside there so that we can make little pockets, and you can add little notes or just different little things in there. So really cute. And I think that you can see that I really love those little tab things, but then I think the next thing we're going to do is, you can see like the stitching. I really love just doing this hand stitching, and it's just a basic running stitch. So again, normally I have tools to measure that out so that it's a little bit like it's, you know, straight, but again, I didn't have those with me. So the first thing we're going to do is just start with this little bit of like a length of fabric, and it doesn't have to be straight because you'll get a nice ruffle. So it really just depends, you know, if you have a little scrap of fabric. I really like using this silk thread, and then we're just doing a running stitch up the middle. So you can see that the both pieces of thread, I have got the you know, I haven't tied a knot in the end, but they're both at the same length. And then I take the bottom of this little length of fabric, and I sew it through from the back to the front and to the back again, and then I just make a knot with the thread there onto the fabric. So, you know, you can do that different ways. Like you can just make a knot in the silk if you want to, but I just find this a lot quicker and easier. And then once that's done, you know, I might do that a couple of times, and then I just kind of start, you know, taking the middle of this length of fabric and sort of haphazardly pushing that onto the pin. So I don't really, you know, where you're doing a normal running stitch and you are kind of holding the fabric flat and kind of trying to keep that running stitch quite neat and in a line, I kind of want I find it that the fabric ruffles quite nicely if you just do it this way. Okay, so once that is done, I kind of flip through the book and then look for other places that I can, you know, stitch things or attach things. This is the kind of thing which would be better to actually do before the book is bound, but yeah, it still works. So one of the things I really like to do are these kind of running stitch additions. So here I am where there's a really tiny kind of short length of the page that was folded over. I like to add either another piece of paper, or in this case I'm adding some of this silk fabric, and yeah, so I'm just doing a running stitch up the fabric, and then you can see that I always leave the ends long, so I like the little threads hanging out, but I don't actually do any knots. So what I do is once I've done this, I actually then I'll go back in, you'll see here, and I just put a little dab of glue under the ends to sort of keep that in place, and so then it just still looks visually nice, but it is also, you know, sturdy enough to stay in place. Just put the glue there and then pull the thread, and yeah, just let that dry. So the other thing that I'm doing here is kind of creating a side loading pocket. So I've got again some of that really nice textured paper at the back here, and then I'm just adding glue at the top and the bottom of this kind of half page to create a little side loading pocket there. So those are kind of some of my favorite ways to add interest in these kind of junk journals. Yeah, and you can see, like with the ruffles as well, they're kind of faux ruffles, so sometimes people just stitch them with a sewing machine right onto the page, but I just like to create the ruffle and then just glue that in. So there's so many different ways that you can do this. If you have a sewing machine, you can you know, do it all with a sewing machine. I always find that like just setting up a sewing machine and the bobbin and everything, it's quite a lot of extra work for me. I just really enjoy the process of slow stitching by hand, and yeah, creating these kind of, yeah, I just really love them. So I think that is about everything. You can see the stitching here, like the running stitch on the front cover, and then also on that second pocket page as well. So I think that is everything for the journal. And I have had a few questions about whether I'll be making these. Like I said, I hadn't even intended on creating this one, but yeah, it was something my brother really wanted to be able to send. So and I was really glad, because I've been thinking about doing kind of a video like this, and so this gave me a good opportunity, and I think it's a really nice thing. So if you've never made one before, like I said, there are so many tutorials over on Heirloom Luxe, and it's just a really fun project to do. So the next thing that we have to talk about is this gorgeous, this is kind of like a traveler's notebook style notebook, but you know, if you're getting a leather cover like from Shakespeare or somewhere like that, which I absolutely love, I have many of them, but this is about a quarter of the price. So if you've never tried a traveler's notebook style notebook before and you're not sure, you know, if it's for you, this is a really, really beautiful one to try. You can see the inserts here. It comes with 3 inserts, a lined one, a dotted one, and a blank one, and you can see the beautiful colors of the bookmarks as well. But it's really nice because it does already come with the inserts, and the quality of the paper and the quality of the linen book cloth on the front cover is really beautiful. And also this one, so I've been looking at these for a few years, and I was actually thinking about getting one of these as my planner this year. This company did have like this style of a planner, but I ended up going with the Chic Sparrow. I just wasn't sure like at the end of the day, but this is such a beautiful notebook. So you can see kind of the size reference and just a reference here with the moleskin from my last video. So I wanted to say too, we got one of these Sakura ones from Barnes & Noble, and it didn't really have a smell, and then we got one off Amazon and it really did have a very pungent sort of chemical smell. So we actually placed it underneath paper towel with a little bowl of essential oils near it for a couple of weeks for that to air out. And yeah, so just that is a note as well. But the paper is very thin in the moleskins, but you can see here like that this new one, it's a little bit thicker. I just realized when I was editing this that I didn't even try. I just do a little bit here just to try the paper. It's really lovely. So I'm using a Pitt pastel pencil. I've been really enjoying pastel pencils lately, and I do have a few of those to show you in a haul soon. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I realized that I didn't use watercolor in here. So that's something that we will be doing in an upcoming video. But yeah, just I really like, so you can see it's kind of like ivory paper, but it's not like too yellowish. So I've also been using this wax, just your regular like wax paper for the kitchen, and I've been putting that on top of pastels or pastel pencils and just rubbing that in, and it kind of allows the pastel to go into the paper a little bit more, and it doesn't really take much of it off. So I also got a new Sennelier pastel pebble, so I really love those. I have 3 now. Yeah, so the next thing we're going to do is just take this new notebook, which I was really inspired by the beautiful cover, and I thought it would be a really nice one to do a little bit of watercolor and practice a few different techniques, and just even create this would be a really beautiful kind of soft artwork that you could put up on the wall as well. So I am taking this hake brush, which is a very inexpensive brush, but it holds a lot of water and it's really nice for just laying washes on the page. So at the minute I'm just washing water on, applying water, and you could absolutely use a colour there as well, but for now I just wanted to add the water. And then I'm getting a mix of buff titanium, that's the Isaro one. I'm using Holbein Shell Pink, and then I'm using a little bit of the Hematite Violet and Caput Mortuum mix there, and the Tiger's Eye. And I am just kind of creating this colour, and then I'm just, so you can see like I'm just brushing over some branches and some floral motifs. So we're painting wet in wet. So the paper is wet, and then the medium, the watercolor is also wet. So it's going to create this beautiful sort of blurring of the shapes, just like on the notebook there. So I am going in and doing the branches, and one of the things with doing the branches is you want them to not be just a straight line. You want to have a little bit of movement, and also some kind of little notches like the in the branches. So this is a very good exercise, especially if you're wanting to loosen up, because nothing needs to be a perfect shape. And you can see here, so I've gone to a liner brush to get a thin line, but because of how wet the paper is, it's still pushing out quite far, and having a hard time getting the thinness of the line that I'm looking for. But this is why we're using this for the first layer, because this will actually soften into the paper and it will be a very fine colour, like a very, very light colour. And then we can go back over it when it's dry. And so you'll see that I keep adding pigment into all of these places while the paper's wet, and then we will let everything dry, and then I'll go back in and refine some areas. So I hope you enjoyed this. I do have another little video, less than 10 minutes. It is a nature journal one. So a few of you have been asking if I can bring those back, and I do have from July through to kind of winter footage from last year that I never ended up being able to get done in time. So I will try and get one of those out every month or every other month, maybe combining a couple of months with some. I didn't end up being able to paint anything, last year, but I have a whole bunch of really beautiful footage. So I will try and paint something this afternoon and then get that video out today, or as close to today as I can as well. So hopefully we can kind of start that nature journal series going again as well. And then let's see. So yeah, the orders are coming along really well. I'm adding quite a few extras because I don't think I'm going to be able to do any more shop updates, at least until the end of the year, if not the new year possibly. So yes, I kind of had hoped to do one more, but I think I never really realize how much work there is until I start doing it. So yeah, I hope you guys will love those as well, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a lovely weekend. I will see you guys soon. Bye.